This is my 16.3 coaching session review and development plan. So in my session we were planning on having 8 to 11 kids, all year 5, of a mixed gender and ability. It was at Carden Primary Sports Field, and the session aim was for participants to be comfortable in performing the relay handover, correctly performing the relay handover in a race scenario, and the objectives being to know the key teaching points of the handoff and relay, completing a warm-up, skill-related game, cool down, and learn the changeover. So with my risk assessment, you can pause and see that. With my warm-up, we did the DVD game, where as for fun, where you pause, play, reverse, fast forward, stretches as dynamic and stationary, and comes and sources in a relay style, so it's one after the other in 2 teams, splitting and turning them upside down or not. So 3 minutes for the pulse raiser, being the DVD game, 3 minutes for dynamic stretches, and then 4 minutes for the static stretches, as well as another 5 odd minutes for the cups and saucers game. For the main activity, in pairs, we had a baton between 2 of us, between 2 kids, and they jog around in a square quite large, so they all had space, and they change over once told to, every now and again, and once handed over, the person who passed the baton forward would run ahead, and again the baton would be passed forward when indicated. For the second main activity, we'd split the group into 3, and which would be 3 or 4 kids, from about 9 to 10, if we had 9 to 10, and this is where we'd teach the main teaching points of the handover, and the main activity being the condition game of the race. So 3 groups coming together, racing against each other, and then mixing up the teams and racing again, mixing up the teams so that they can so they don't just get used to passing into one person, so they have different abilities that they have to pass forward to and receive from. As you can see, this is the race part, or no, the splitting into the groups. When the group split into 3 parts, being lined up in order, so it's house number, and then split into 3, so the 3 next to each other in one group, and so on and so forth. They will then be taught the handover in depth by one of the 3 coaches, as there are 3 groups. Then progressing further, where they'd be taught the handover in depth, so going from walking to jogging and then running. The teaching points the main teaching points were calling hand to start the individual in front of to start running, so you can pass forward. To stay at arm's length at all times, so when it passes it, you do slow down and stay at arm's length, so you don't trip over each other. To keep the palm facing upwards when you are receiving the baton, and not to turn around, so always to be facing forward. As the kids are with one of the 3 Bursar students coaching, they have equal opportunities to get the direct coaching, but they can also have their strengths and weaknesses, which will increase the speed of their changeovers and the fluidity of the relay in general, due to having a direct access to teaching and if they have any questions. Before the race, each coach will then bring their group together and ask if they understand, and if they have any questions, giving the session a section of question and answer, where they can ask anything they don't understand, to explain anything, to demonstrate anything, even though they will be demonstrating throughout the whole activity. For the cooldown, light jog, 200-meter track, so jogging around this, one of the coaches taking them around, making sure that they do, and then staying behind everyone so that they can motivate them to go, and stretches being calm and controlled. The plenary being the end of the session, where as an entire group they'll bring together the group and ask what they thought of it, being positive and negative, so they can criticize it or say what they liked, so we can take from that how to improve and what was our strengths. Also praise them, making sure that they did well and that we're thankful of that, and that they did pay attention and they stayed engaged, trying as well. And then link it to the aims and objectives that we said earlier, and making sure that they leave happy, thanking them again. So with the review, the aims and objectives, this was participants being comfortable and in performing the relay handover and doing it in a race scenario. I do feel like and the session objectives being to know the key teaching points of the handoff and relay, and as well as the complete warm-up skill-related game and cooldown, and to learn the changeover. I do believe that I completed these, as I do feel like I achieved my aims and objectives. However, a full cooldown was not completed, so that wasn't the full session being finished. With this, I do feel like, as a group of 3 of us coaching, I do feel like we increased and developed their skill and fluidity in their teams and overall in the handover skill. There were unnecessary problems like tripping over each other at the start, which we did get to cut out from the direct teaching and coaching, and where they were solved as they were unnecessary problems were solved, and as a group we made sure that they were much faster, and the delivery of lessons helped us achieve this, as we split it up into three groups, where we were then able to go, okay, how do you understand this? This is how you do it. Do you try this, and then progress that forward where they can improve their session. The SWOT analysis, I'll say that my strengths of being in planning would be that we were well organised and knew what we were doing, and in delivery being that I kept the attention very well of the people that I was coaching, so the group that we took in and overall the group for the cooldown. I also found that demonstration was one of my strengths, as well as knowledge, due to knowing the changeover quite well, so that when it came to demonstrating it, I did have the ability to demonstrate that and break it down into points where you could take it step by step in learning it. My weaknesses being in planning, I think nothing that we could really cover being the uneven teams. So we didn't plan for, or I didn't plan for maybe having the uneven teams, so we didn't plan for a adaptation for this. So where we had planned for 3 teams of 3, there was 2 teams of 3 and a 4, and one of these kids did have to sit out, and that's where we then decided to change it up and change the teams and have someone else sit out, so it wasn't just this person sitting out, so that everyone got involved eventually. There was one race where one student wasn't involved, and the other race where 2 of the coaches did step in and form a team with this student, or this primary school student, so they were involved as well. Opportunities for something like motivation. There is a public speaking course where you can take it and learn how to perhaps motivate, or you could also, as another opportunity, watch other coaches, like maybe an athletics coach for relay, and you could learn how they are effective in the way that they do, that they motivate. Maybe watch other coaches to watch how well they manage their time. And there were some threats being the location. Maybe there could have been possible weather problems, or the age that we were working with, or maybe money, so we couldn't have perhaps a piece of equipment that we did want. My 3 strengths being keeping attention, knowledge and confidence. But first area for improvement and my development plan, I want to improve my motivation. So the way that I did voice myself and my facial expressions was quite it was lax in the way that I didn't project myself as well as I possibly could, and vocally I was told that I sounded quite bored and not very motivating, even though I did try. My facial expression need to be a lot more automated. My development plan. So I'd like to improve this, and for a smart target, I'd like to improve this, and the development plan would be to improve this, as without it I wasn't keeping the attention as well as I could have been, even though it was one of my strengths. I did occasionally lose attention and they weren't as engaged. So if I do improve my motivation, I can improve how engaged the students are, and how and improve their effort levels by motivating them to try harder and harder. My smart target for this would be in the next 3 weeks, I'd like to observe local coaches in the way that they motivate. And as well as this, I could take a public speaking course from http publicspeakingacademy.co.uk, and it's £45, and you can take a fear of public speaking masterclass, where instead of just going against the fear of public speaking, it also describes the key points in public speaking, and it also describes how to talk to a lot of people at the same time. So in this group, and along with this, in the same development plan, I'd watch a local schools Year 7 football team coach. So agreed with this coach, I'd learn how to best motivate kids, and in this session that this coach runs, she'd show me how and what situations she does motivate and praise the participants for what kind of behaviour that you do praise and what kind of behaviour you do not praise. For my second area of improvement, I'd select time management, as a lot of time was wasted between demonstration and misbehaving of the kids. We almost couldn't run a cool down or finish our races due to this lost time. I would have to improve my time management, as without good time management you won't be able to do everything you plan, like the cool down or finishing the races. And after this, I will need to improve my delivery to make sure I'm as effective as I could be in not wasting any time and doing as much as I can in the time given. My smart target would be to waste less time in the next session. So over the next 3 weeks, I'd like to run another session, and after this, I'd like to lose less than 10 minutes in my overall session of an hour, and then another 3 months afterwards, on average, I'd like to set up a session every, say, 2 weeks, and I would like to lose less than 5 minutes on average every session. For improvement plan 3, I chose my lesson delivery, as I didn't state the aims skills of the session, as I hadn't coached before, so I didn't know how to voice everything about the lesson and apply it to how I teach. So I will need to improve this, as, like I said, I need to be as effective in the time that I can be. So over the next 3 weeks, I'd like to watch other coaches from athletic clubs to see how they coach the relay, as well as their key teaching points and effectively applying them. So improving my delivery, I'd like 3 weeks, coaching a local athletics team, how he's effective and how he delivers a session. In 2 months, I would lead another session in which I will deliver a more concise explanation and explain well and in detail the aims and the teaching points that I will cover in the session.